Hey guys, I've got an ISO challenge for you. We're going to learn how to stand still on your bicycle. Now you might wonder why you'd want to do this. Well, if you're into mountain biking, when you're riding on a trail and you get to an obstacle, it's really cool to be able to look ahead, slow right down and see what that obstacle is, so you can work out how you're going to go up it or around it. It's also kind of cool just to have something else that you practice on your bike. You can do it on any bike in a tiny space and it feels pretty cool. Also, it just helps you work on your balance generally and get to know your bike so you feel at one with it. Okay, so how do you learn it? Well, you don't hop straight into a balanced position like this. You've got to do a few things first. Start by putting your helmet on. You're not really going anywhere fast, but you can always fall off, so safety first. Now, a little bit about the theory of how we're going to balance on the bike. The big problem with the bike is it's not very stable side to side, is it? But it's super stable front to back. It really has no tippiness that way at all. So what we're going to do is a little trick. You're going to transfer side to side movement on your bike, which you don't want, into front to back movement on your bike, which is easy to control with your pedals. Now, the idea behind this, anytime you balance, if I just stand on one foot and balance here, you've got to have some way of compensating so that you don't tip over. So my ankle might look sort of still, but it's actually wriggling around and doing all kind of compensating when I stand like this. And similarly, when you balance on your bike in that position I was in, I was actually using my pedals to move forward, back, forward, back, forward, back. Tiny movements. They're only small, but they're really important. Second step, work out which foot you like to have forward. So when you ride your bike and you put your pedals one forward and one back, most people prefer to have one foot at the front. It's probably the same foot that you put at the front when you're riding a snowboard or a skateboard or a surfboard. So for me, I like to have my left foot forward. So when we do this drill, we're going to turn little circles to the left. If you like having your right foot forward, then you're going to make circles going around to the right. Now, as you go riding around in circles, you're going to do something special with your feet. I call it ratcheting. See how I'm just keeping my left foot always at the front, and I'm riding around in a circle that's pretty small. The idea is to get it smaller and smaller, and I'm always keeping my left foot at the front, so I'm just doing like a fraction of a pedal stroke and then pulling it back and doing a little bit more. Now when you're doing this, it's tempting to try and move ahead and say, well, I'm just going to stop and try and balance. But you don't want to do it before you're ready. During this phase, you're really training your brain to say, every time I want to go forward, I'm going to press down with my front foot. And when I don't want to go forward, I'm not going to press down. So you're really brain training. So as you go riding around in your tiny, tiny circle with your wheel at about 45 degrees, your circles will get smaller and smaller. Now there's no need to try and stand still for a while. You want to make those tiny circles for a good 15 minutes or so. Eventually you'll get so comfortable riding in a tiny circle that you can pause just for a second. Now don't try and pause for a whole minute. Just try and pause for a second or so. You don't need to use your brakes, just come to a bit of a stop. Pause for a second, and if you feel yourself starting to overbalance, don't put your foot down. Just ride out of it and keep going around in your little circle. Then when you're feeling nice and balanced again, have another go. Just pause for a second or two. And if that seems pretty good, move on. You've had success. So you don't want to put your foot down and you don't want to turn your wheel. You want to just keep on going with these tiny circles. After about half an hour, you're going to be so comfortable with a tiny circle, you can actually stop for a fair while. Now it's slightly easier if you've got a little bit of an uphill to work with. It's pretty flat here, it's doable on the flat. But if you have a look at my wheel, I look like I'm staying still, but actually I'm doing lots of little tiny movements, just like my ankle did when I was standing on one foot. And that's because as I feel a tiny bit of balance to one side or the other, I just put more or less pressure on that front foot and I either push forward or I roll back. Push forward, roll back. And those movements are just going to get smaller and smaller till eventually you look like you're pretty well standing still. And it feels pretty good. So you can have a go at this on any bike you like. Once you can do it on any bike, even one that's too big for you or too small for you. Having a go on the grass is pretty good because it gives you a little bit more friction against your wheel. And have fun with it.